Oh, I'm here. Hello, welcome to ImPossible Conversation. I'm Suki. This is my very first interview in 2020. Anne is a freelance creative consultant based in north of England. She's passionate about helping others and loves how creative thinking can solve problems and help people. For over 25 years, Anne has worked in the creative retail and events industries. During this time, she has worked with some fantastic people and companies, including the Big Three: Santa Claus, Willy Wonka, and Mickey Mouse. Oh, and she's been a Bond girl too. She's married to Johnny English. This is her story. Let me bring her in now. Hello, Anne.
Hi. I've got my friend here as well. Hello, Suki. Hi, everyone.
How are you? Happy Sunday to you.
Yes, you too.
Okay, thank you for coming to ImPossible Conversation. And I've just had to introduce you briefly about you being married to Johnny English and you've been working with Big Three. So let's hear from you. Tell us your story.
Right. How far do you want me to go back?
Let's start from the beginning.
From the beginning?
Yeah. Okay. Are you from around here or?
Yes. Family all from around here. So I was born in Gateshead, but there wasn't just one of me. There's two of me because I'm a twin. So I've got a twin brother. So I was born in Gateshead, and then when I was 2, I moved to a little place called Stella Park, which is near Blaydon. And in those days, this area wasn't pretty the way it is now. And we used to look onto what was called Stella Power Station. So we used to have for the electricity generation, used to have big cooling towers. But the lovely thing that I did have outside my bedroom window was I had a cherry tree. So and the whole street was cherry trees. So when that was in blossom, that was beautiful. But actually, it disguised behind that there was a power station. So I've always lived in the Northeast. I was brought up there, lived there for 25 years until I was married. I moved away when I went to art college, and then moved back to the area. So it's got a bit more romantic now because the area, one of the projects that I worked on, the area that I've lived in and worked in all my life is now called the Land of Oak and Iron. So that sounds a bit more romantic than Stella and overlooking the power station. Things have changed a bit.
Sounds awesome. So you've been in Northeast all of your life?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I haven't. So I've lived in the northeast of England, and the companies I've worked for have been in the northeast of England. However, I've worked for businesses that I've travelled the world doing what I do. So for 25 years, I did Christmas decorations and shopping centres in the UK and throughout Europe. So I'll go away for a month at a time before Christmas. That's the bit working for Santa Claus. So I travel to different places to do that. And then also one of my passions is traveling as holidays. I've done a lot of cruises. And the reason that I love those is you can wake up every day in a different country. So I've actually traveled the world and experienced the world, but my roots are firmly planted in the Northeast. This is the place.
No intention of moving somewhere else, even you love traveling.
No, I love traveling and working away and stuff like that, but I can't see me living anywhere else other than the northeast of England. Why would I? It's fantastic up here, and the people are wonderful as well.
Absolutely. So I've just added your most favorite quotes down there. The 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out your why.
Yes.
Why is it your favorite quote?
Oh, because I think
deep fun. Have you found your why?
Yes, I have found my why. And when you get that light bulb moment, it's like, wow, this is what this is all about. Because I think we kind of wander through life, and that's okay. You don't necessarily have to have a path set out. But as you get older, you do start to wonder why. It's actually quite interesting when you think about it, because children always go, why? You know, they go through a stage, don't they, an age thing.
Yeah.
All they do is ask why. I think as we get older, we'd maybe stop asking why. A lot of things then become how. How would you do this? How would you? I've come to realize, though, that the most important thing isn't the how, it is the why. It's that big dream, and then you'll work out how to get there. So that's the most important thing, is working out your why, not necessarily the how. I think, as I say, as a kid, as a child, it was always like the why and the big dream. But then we squashed that, and my mission now is to kind of open that up again. To just do things that are, you know, things that inspire me.
So what's your why?
What's my why?
You don't mind me asking. Yeah.
So I've been on a bit of a journey, and I've just worked out, even though I'm still here in the Northeast, I've just kind of, there's lots of things that I've done in my life that more recently now all make sense. So you don't realize the significance of the stuff until you look back, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is just who I'm meant to be. You don't always realize that that's where you're going to go. So I've more recently been looking back and looking at the things that inspire me and thinking, where have they come from? And they are actually deep rooted in who I am and who I was as a child. I think tapping into that's really important. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about, if you said to me, what's the thing that you love, what's the thing you loved as a child, and that's maps. I've always maps. Yeah. And as I say, only recently somebody asked me about that, and they're like, where does that come from? And you have to start thinking quite deeply as to why that happened. And a few reasons with that. One, as a child, we didn't go very far. We went to Scarborough on holiday, or we went to the Lake District on holiday, but my mum would always get the map out. And what she would do with the map, she wouldn't always work out the straightforward route, the route from A to B. So these days we have sat navs, and you program where you want to go. And it normally tells you the quickest route or the route with the least traffic, which is not the quickest route, doesn't it? Sometimes it gives you a couple of options. Yeah. Doesn't give the option that my mum would have picked, because my mum always picked the prettiest route. So if we went to the Lake District, we would always go across, there's a thing called Hartside Pass. We would always go across there. My dad would joke, because you would get the map out with all the little white routes where you'd have to open gates and stuff. So we would go exploring in the car. When we were driving to somewhere, that was part of the adventure. So I have maps in my head. I've always, if you ask me to go somewhere, I might look on a sat nav or Google it to see where I'm going, but then build that map in my head. So more recently, I was like, well, that's got to come from somewhere deeper than that. And I suddenly realized that actually my two favorite books were Millie Molly Mandy and Winnie the Pooh. Okay. And actually at the beginning of those books, there's maps. Child, what I would do is I would get the books and I would read the stories, but I would always turn to the front of the book, to the map, to see where they are. Actually, I've got Millie Molly Mandy, because I've got a storytelling suitcase that I've got stuff in.
Oh, yes.
This Millie Molly Mandy book. So again, if you open it up at the front, that's the little village. Yeah. And Winnie the Pooh. That's 100 Acre Wood. Yeah.
Is that like from your childhood? You kept them all?
These aren't from my childhood, these books. These were, I bought these for my daughter Amber. So yeah, they're not the original ones. They may be in the loft at my mum and dad's. I'll have to go and have a look for that. But yeah, they were Amber's books. So going through my life, that planned thing, for 25 years I did Christmas decorations in shopping centres. I would always start with the plan of the shopping centre. everything, again, it starts with an idea, but then it's a plan. So if you're going to build a house, you get an architect to create a plan. If you're going on a journey, you'll get a map. So when we used to do the decorations, I would look at the plans of it. Normally there would be architects' plans, and I'd get photographs and I'd get information from clients, and I built that world inside my head, like a 3D world of what the shopping centre would look like. So if I was decorating a shopping centre in Paris, I might go to Paris to install the decorations, but I've already imagined what that would look like in my head and designed it. So the first time I would actually be in that environment was when I was building it. So yeah, everything starts with a map, starts with a plan. And that's something that only more recently, when I've started to use maps and plans with my clients, I've realized the significance of where that came from. Right,
I see. So because you do visual mapping as well. So you sit down and then ask questions and you map the people's visions. And what's it called? Vision mapping.
Vision mapping. So I map people's thoughts, their ideas, their systems, the stuff that's in the head, because that's how I always solve problems. So when a client would give me a problem to solve, I would go, okay, well, tell me more about that. And then I'd create a map of that, like a mind map. Then from that, I could do research and get all of the information, put it down there. And it's not until you start capturing stuff like that that you start joining the dots and then seeing things in between. So it's a process that I've always done for at least 30 years to solve problems. I didn't realize that it was something a bit more kind of like unique and different to the way that I work until I started using that to solve other people's problems. And then they were quite intrigued by the process that I was using. It's just something that I've done. And that's what I say. Sometimes, like, it's the things that make you go, are normally followed by a light bulb moment. So people were reflecting back to me going, that's amazing. And I would just go, it's just what I do, kind of thing. And then I realized actually that process that I'd always used to solve a problem was of use to other people. Because
I met you very first time at PSA, the Professional Speakers Association, but I know you as a create intrigue.
Yes.
You are the creative person that I know. But how did it start?
How did Create Intrigue start?
Yeah, like Create Intrigues. How did Create Intrigue start? But why? You think you got like some genes in you, or how did it start?
So for 25 years, I did the Christmas decorations in shopping centres, and I loved that. So I never thought that I would do anything other. However, I got made redundant when the company was taken over by a competitor. So I then was looking for my next forever job. And I kept getting rejected. And it was like, I had 2 years worth of that. In between, I was doing projects for other people. So that was when I was getting the reflections back, like some things like visual merchandising. I would just know how to do displays. So people would say, can you help us with my shop windows? I was getting requests in like that. So I obviously had this knowledge. I didn't realize that was necessarily something that other people didn't have. So as I say, I had 2 years worth of applying for other jobs, and then it was just soul destroying. And actually,
it's just it's like that down moment, isn't it?
It was. I was looking for my next forever job, doing freelance work in between. Never imagined I'd run my own business. And then I went for one job, and the reason I would always get down to the last two for some reason and then not be picked, which was just started to like eat away at your confidence. And one of the guys said to me, right, the reason that I'm not going to pick you is because you've got wanderlust. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. I had to look it up in the dictionary. Wanderlust. And he said, you're not going to stay here. And it turns out that wanderlust, he could see something in me I couldn't see in myself. And he could see that I was kind of dreaming of bigger things. In my mind, what I was saying to him was, I'm going to work for your company for the next 25 years. But obviously he could see that I so yeah, so interesting that. So when you say about like, where's that one come from? Again, kind of like in my genes. So I started. The main things were the vision map and stuff came out of the helping other people to solve problems, and then the visual marketing came out of. I knew the stuff that the big brands use to make you buy, to help them sell stuff. So if you go into a supermarket, it's all laid out in a specific way.
Is it complicated?
Not really. So because I've worked out now, I've taken the knowledge out of my head and I've put it into a system that I teach people now. So it's quite simple things like less is more, triangles, the rule of thirds. But when somebody said to me, "Where did you get that from?" I just kind of know. My first job was designing body shop windows, so I ended up just coming up with all this 3D stuff. Talking to my mum, because I remember my mum saying that she'd done a window display.
Yeah.
And it turns out both my parents were from Hexham, and she did a window display in those days. There was an ironmonger's called Phipps's, and apparently if Phipps's didn't have it, you couldn't buy it. And the window display was the way that you know, these days they talk about Facebook ads. Your window display was how you sold your products. So my mum got asked to do the window display, and it turns out that she did a window for Pyrex, and I didn't realize at the time, but Pyrex was a Sunderland-based company. And the rep came in, asked who did the window display. Obviously, they said my mum, and they offered her a job in the head office in Sunderland. But she just met my dad. So said no, she turned the job down. So she could have been, I don't know what the title would have been in those days, but like a visual merchandiser. She would have done all of the displays in the head office. But actually, if she'd said yes, would I be here now? I don't know, because in those days, Sunderland was a long way. So she said anyway. So I knew that my mum had this, and I was asking her how she knew about that. And she said she just intuitively knew. And it was funny because I was like, well, I just know how to move things when they're in the right place. It just feels right.
Yeah.
Then I was saying, well, where did you learn it from? And she said, well, your grandma, both your grandma and your great grandma had shops as well. I was like, oh, what did they teach you? What did they do? And it turns out that there was a competition in Hexham for the best shop window. Now, we are talking about 100 years ago. I was asking
years ago, right? Okay, like 1920s.
1920s. So my great grandma had a sweetie shop, and my grandma had a cafe for cyclists, and there was this competition. So so my grandma apparently she'd got some black paint and she'd painted the window and left a little hole in the window, and I was like saying to my mum, oh, so what happened next? Was it like a big phoenix window, like a big reveal? No, she didn't do anything. I was like, what do you mean she didn't do anything? She said, well, she had a queue right down the street. I was like, how did that work? And she said everybody was queuing to have a look through the little window, through the hole in the paint. So in those days, it wasn't about Facebook. It wasn't about the likes or the voting. You go your feet, literally. So because her shop had the biggest queue to look in the window, she won the competition. And I said, when my mum was telling the story, I just said, oh, so my grandma created intrigue then. And I went, oh, that's what I call my business. So it's like, so yeah, I do believe now some of this stuff's in my DNA. I just didn't necessarily at the time realize it. The more I am trusting my intuition, the more I'm finding my why, and I'm helping other people to find their why too.
Yeah, the thing is, that's a very, very interesting story, because I'm just working on this program called Thinking into Results, and
Bob Proctor.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's Bob
Yes,
Proctor.
yes,
Thing
yes.
is, what he says, when we're born, we are not given any choices because we like foods that our parents like, and
Right.
they've probably been given food they like, and it's just always been like conditioned by your environment.
Very
So I had like no choice at all. It's like you, because your parents were like, your grandma was that creative, and
Yeah.
so your house, you probably just subconsciously automatically do arrange your thing.
Well, the
And
really
you
funny thing is,
since
yeah.
you
So
were
with
born, I
that
guess.
sort of stuff, I remember going to my grandma's, and actually, her favorite color must have been lilac. Her house was lilac. She had a lot of Japanese prints and things. I don't know where it came from in those days, but it was lovely, lots of ornaments. And when we used to go on holiday, my grandma would come and stay because we had a budgie bird that she would come and look after. And when we came home, my dad would always go, "Oh, your grandma's moved the ornaments again." And when we were away, my grandma would move the ornaments. I thought that was normal. But now I think about it, my mum probably arranged it in the way that she thought looked right.
Yeah.
Come and rearrange it. I mean, who comes around to your house and rearranges your ornaments for you? So it's obviously, been passed, that thing passed down. Yeah. So I think you're right. It's there. And you know, you were saying about taste. My mum and dad are huge meat eaters. And when I was 18 at that age, I decided to go vegetarian.
Are you vegetarian?
Yeah. But I've never liked meat. I've never actually liked meat. So I probably used to eat the bad meat. I would eat hot dogs, and I would eat mince pies. I would eat stuff that didn't represent meat. Now, it wasn't a big like, oh, I'm going to save the planet. I'm going to, save cows and sheep. And it wasn't that. It was just, I didn't want to eat meat. I just knew I didn't want to eat meat. And my dad used to say to us, well, what are you going to eat? How we're going to feed you? And I'm like, this is Sunday dinner. Just don't put the meat on my plate. So you're right about that taste thing. Once I was able to make that choice, it was my choice to stop eating meat because I didn't like it. I didn't want it. Yeah. But I don't think out of it. It's not like I'm on a campaign about being vegetarian. Like you've just said then, that you didn't necessarily know that.
Yeah.
Even though you know me. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, I feel like everyone knows so what's your daily routines, like weekly routines? Like, do you go around like 10, 20 networking events?
Yeah, I go to lots of networking. I've realized what that's about. So when I worked for the company, Christmas display company, I started that with the two directors brought me in next. So every single person, until we got made redundant and I was the last person out the building, everybody in that company I knew because, I'd worked with them, I'd hired them, all that kind of thing. So when I got made redundant, it might sound a bit melodramatic, but I felt like to me, it was like a loss. I felt like a bereavement. I'd lost something because I'd lost contact with all those people. And I didn't know about the creative sector in the in the Northeast and stuff like that. I'd been detached from that. I knew everything to do with the Christmas displays and shopping centres and retail and all that kind of thing, but I was disconnected. So I started going along to some events in Newcastle for the creative sector to try and find out what was going on. And then I realized that actually when I started going to networking, again, I didn't know anything about networking, I started to connect with people. And I do feel like those people that I've connected with through networking are like my colleagues, the co-workers, who run your own business. We've all got what I would say is our superpowers, our skills. So around me, I feel like I have got lots of people within my network that are like my co-workers. So I have got a bigger business around me, even though it's just me. So that's why you see me at a lot of networking events, because that feeds my soul. I get inspired by other people and by other people's stories and by their skills and learning from other people.
Everyone's got such a superpower, aren't they?
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's all about like collaboration, working together. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, tell us about working with Big Three, please.
Yes. Okay. So I worked for Santa Claus. The Willy Wonka thing came in. So when it was my I'm trying to think back now, 40th birthday, it wasn't 50th, 40th. I wanted something different at the party. And I've always created Santa's grottos, so themes, that kind of thing. And I was looking on the internet and I found a chocolate fountain. And I'd never seen one before in my life, never experienced one, never tasted one. But when I saw it, I was like, I've got to have one of these at my party. And my husband, his birthday is actually 3 weeks after mine, and we got married on my 25th birthday. So we were having a party for family and friends. It's going to be quite a big party. So, because that's another thing as well. I think it's quite sad if you only meet up with these people at things like funerals. I think it's good to have some bigger life events where you bring everybody together. So I said to John, who's an engineer, can I have one of these at my party, please? And sent him off to find one, presuming that he would then just buy one off eBay or something. But with an engineer, he looked into it and he said, okay, you don't want it breaking down at the party. You've got 150 guests, so you need a big one for the capacity. You need to get a separate one from America because we don't want it to break down and all this kind of thing. So it evolved into, can you get me one? There was only one other company in the Northeast at that time doing chocolate fountains, massive in America, hardly anything in the UK. So the end of that story was we set up Charlie's Chocolate Factory. So I had a chocolate fountain at my party, but then because we'd invested in a lot of money for that, to pay that money back, and then I was going to sell it. But we actually
evolved into business.
Yeah, for 10 years. So I was doing
10 years.
Yeah, so I did the Christmas display thing. By then I'd had Amber, so I was working 3 days a week, managing all of those contracts. Then on a Friday or a Saturday night, John and I would have the babysitter would come in, and that would be our night out. We would go to other people's parties and get paid for being at other people's parties and eating chocolate, which was just fab. So that was the Willy Wonka moment. That was Charlie's Chocolate Factory.
Okay. And what's the other one? The
Mickey Mouse, my little friend here, Mickey Mouse. So, I mean, at Centre Design, the Christmas display company, we did, Euro Disney had just opened. So we did the decorations in the hotels. Also, Florida a number of times on holiday because Disney does inspire me. And I've been on an Imagineering course with Disney. At Disney, the Imagineers are the combination between the engineers and the designers, the creatives, which is actually a bit like myself and my husband because he's an engineer and I'm a creative, you know, the two sides of it. So, yeah, I've done Imagineering with Disney. And then more recently, I've worked on projects that have been involved with Disney. So, yeah, so I've worked for my little friend, Mickey Mouse here.
Fantastic. So you've been traveling to Disney, like America, a lot because you're a fan of Disneyland or Disney.
Yeah, it totally inspires me. I go there and I see the rides and stuff, but I'm always looking behind me, like, how does this work? You know, I'm wanting to know the behind the scenes stuff. I know for some people that would take away the magic, but that's what inspires me. I want to know like how they do it and also learn from the best because Walt Disney just absolutely amazing. And as I say, he took an idea, you know, and then this character was born out of that idea. I get inspired by that. So yeah, I've got my little friends here that were born out of ideas. So
from Mickey Mouse. Those are metronomes.
Yeah, so that.
Yes. And creator. Would you call it creator of the metronomes?
Maggot and Rusty.
Yeah.
So the metronomes way back when. So these are my little pals. My little
babies.
My little babies, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Disney totally inspired me with a lot of things in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could live anywhere, where would it be? Would you not go to live there?
No, I like to visit. I think,
Would you
I
offer the
think
job
it
there,
would.
like doing whatever you
Oh,
want? Uh-huh.
I don't know how I would. If you, when I was with the chocolate fountain, right, the dream things, the things that you
Uh-huh.
wonderful. When we used to do the chocolate fountain, by the end of the night, we would just look for a chip shop. We wanted chips or we wanted Chinese. We didn't want any more chocolate. I probably ate less chocolate when I worked for the chocolate, had my own chocolate fountain business.
Yeah.
I think sometimes if you become immersed in something and it becomes the norm, you don't necessarily see the magic in it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes going to Florida and seeing it with fresh eyes every time you go, because they're always evolving.
Yeah.
Last November when I went, they've built Star Wars Land, which is a completely immersive experience. If I was there and I didn't see the evolution,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
from the normal. I guess it's like when your kids are growing and you don't see that.
What I thought, like, because
Yeah.
you're all the time, 24/7.
Yeah. And it's like it might be the grandparents or your friends or somebody go, wow, they've grown up, and you go, really? Because you see it all the time. So to me, I think if I lived somewhere like that all of the time, it would just become almost like background noise. I think it's much nicer to visit and be inspired. It's like being to Japan, and I loved that. I don't think I'd want to live in Japan all the time.
No, definitely not.
I like to go and see things and then bring stuff back from that, and back to being grounded here. Yeah, I think that's something really important with not necessarily living in the place. Because I've been around the Caribbean before, and I thought before I went that would be paradise. But there's still people that don't have jobs. There's still, you drive along the road and there's fridges and rubbish and, people begging in the streets and things like that in some of the places. So even what you think might be paradise, for somebody, it isn't necessarily paradise.
I exactly know what you're saying. Yeah. Because you see, like, some people put this nice holiday photos and stuff. And then like, one day, but because where I come from, right? I'm from Mongolia, and it's nice field and snow's around. Everything's like nature and everything's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But living there, because we're here so busy doing what we're doing, and going somewhere like that for a week, it makes it worthwhile. But if you're there all the time,
yes,
it's not really that attractive. So it's kind of an opposite attracts, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. But I think being grounded here, that's okay. To me, it's because you can go out and then be inspired by different things. I think also probably because I take a lot of things like that in, I've called myself the visual communicator, because visually, the things that I see, I absorb. I probably find that actually being home with stuff around me that doesn't necessarily change means I can focus on things. Whereas I suppose if I was somewhere where things were happening and it was completely different environment, great short period of time, probably all the time that would be too much stuff, too much information. Yeah, that makes sense.
You can't, you need that place, don't you? That you feel comfortable and
like a quiet place, really.
A quiet place, yeah. So, because I know you are a very, very creative person. So the next question I would like to ask is, if you could choose to do anything for a whole day, what would that be? What would it be?
Ooh, what would it be? I mean, being inspired, doing Imagineering with Disney was fantastic. Being around other people. I think it's important to get that where it's just something a bit different. So to me, something adventurous for me would not be mountain biking or climbing a mountain or something. It would be, for me, going to somewhere like Italy and kind of the Sistine Chapel, or going into where the great artists and people like that have been before you, walked in those footsteps and built stuff like that. I think that would be a day that I would find more inspiring. So a very quick tour around Italy, I think. Yeah, finishing in Venice, that would do me nicely. Thank you very much.
That sounds amazing. And I was going to ask also, is there anything you wish would come back in a fashion-wise? Because you are a very creative person, and you think if you could bring this back today, it would be fantastic type of thing.
I loved the 80s. I loved the 80s. The 80s. And some people in the Northeast will remember this. There was the Tuxedo Princess, a floating nightclub on the Tyne, and at the time it was just like, it was just amazing.
Because that's like, even it was there for a long time, wasn't it?
Well, it was the Tuxedo Princess.
It was still
and
there.
Then the Tuxedo Royale, which had the Wonka dance floor that you had to time right just to jump on at the right time. And if you start to feel dizzy when you were going around the outside, you made your way to the middle because the middle didn't move as fast. But then when you had to step off, it was amazing. So back to the 80s. So shoulder pads, Dynasty, all of that glitter, rah-rah skirts, that kind of thing. I love the 80s. But I don't think, I wouldn't necessarily look good in that stuff now. But I did. Actually, I have seen some of the stuff is coming back from the 80s. I think the goes waves, doesn't it?
Yeah, all it says it comes back.
Yeah.
So, you are quite party girl, aren't you?
No, not really. No,
I just got that vibe because, when you talked about this 80s, you were just like, well.
Yeah, but another thing you may be surprised about it. So I don't drink.
No, you love dancing.
I do like dancing. So I've never actually been drunk in my life. So just because I'd never felt the need to drink, and I didn't have any money as a student, I would go out. I would go onto the boat before you had to pay. I would buy 2 Cokes, which was like £1.80, and just have a brilliant night out. So yes, I love dancing, I love music. So I never felt the need to have a drink. So my night out used to involve a lot of, like you say, dancing. Because from being a child, I used to do ballet dancing. I used to remember dancing my way home from school, thinking, somebody's going to drive past and go, oh my God, she has to join the Royal Ballet or something like that. But my mum asked me, I remember her saying to me, would you like to join the Royal Ballet? And I was like, how'd you do that? And she said, well, you'll have to move to London. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to be a ballet dancer. So I was a ballet dancer, but local. And my ballet teacher, Hazel Raisin, I think she's in her 80s now. She's unbelievable, and she keeps going with that. So more recently, I did ballet and tap and stage and all that kind of thing. More recently, I've done salsa dancing and line dancing. So yeah, I love to dance. I love
your happy life.
Music's a big passion for me. If you give me the choice between going to watch a movie or listening to a live concert, I will go to a concert rather than a movie. Love music, any type of music. Yeah.
Have you actually heard some band called Happy Clappers or something like that?
Happy Clappers, no.
No? Apparently, I think it's Happy Clappers. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I went to work in a company, and then the guy who worked there, he was on that band, and it's like an office.
Okay. Well,
it's like a top 10
night out.
Yeah. So
we're going to have to find the Happy Clappers.
Yeah, that was really interesting. So Anne, also I just remembered I come across some of your signature systems, and you're doodling on LinkedIn as well.
Right, yes.
So it's getting really it's very interactive. You can capture people's attention straight away.
Yes.
So how come it started? How did it start?
How did that start? Again, well, I remember when I used to do the body shop windows, the boss there used to give me the brief. So I always had to listen to what the client was saying. And then when people tell me things, I see pictures in my head.
Yes.
When I would design the Christmas decorations or the Santa's grottos, I would think, okay, the clients asked for this. So it would be like input would be the information and words and things like that. And output would be something visual, a drone, a plan. Yeah. Now, my drones, I used to say I'm rubbish at drone because what happened was my drones ended up in the bin. When I think about it, what I was doing was I was translating an idea. So I would scribble very quickly because I was managing lots of projects, up to 60 projects every year. So I would quickly scribble what it would look like, but then I'd give it to my staff in the studio, give it to the illustrators who are specialists at drawing, and they would make a beautiful picture out of it.
Yeah.
So then my scribble would end up in the bin. So when I think about it, what I was doing was I was visually communicating an idea and making it a reality, but it wasn't the finished job. And the thing that the client would see was the finished job. So I've always kind of made notes and done doodles and scribbles, but I don't value those because it's something that I just do. And this is what I say when I work with my clients now. That's probably your superpower. If somebody goes to you, that's really clever, you're really good at this, and you go, it's just what I do. You've got a talent that other people see, but you don't always see in yourself. So more recently, I ended up, I've got this one here that I did this doodle.
Oh,
yeah,
I remember seeing it. Yes,
so that was just for me. So Ashley invited me onto her podcast, and what ended up happening was, I am a visual communicator. I've joined the PSA where I met you because I feel to get my message out to the world, I'm going to have to verbally communicate that. But actually, I can talk a lot one-to-one. Put me in front of an audience on a stage, and that's when I lose my voice. I was saying I was a twin. I would be the dancer. He was the actor. So I could go on a stage and dance. But if you asked me to speak, I would always want to be in the background. Yeah. So I did this actually for when I was invited on the podcast. I thought, I'm going to get halfway through and I'm going to think, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So this was a visual prompt for me. But again, other people started, I'm moving along there. Other people started to see that. They were like, that's amazing. And I was like, it's not, it's just to scribble. To me, to scribble. So it's listening. I've started to realize the older I'm getting that if you trust your intuition and if you listen, really listen to yourself when people say something to you, and you might just go, oh, it's just, and you just throw it away. Hold on to that. And at some point, the things that make you go, they will turn into a light bulb moment where you go, okay, I get that. So these processes haven't happened like in a day, in a week. They've happened over a period of time. So you might see more recently that I've been doing those things, but, I've been doing drawings like that in the background, and I've been prior to that, scribbling for the last 30 years of my life. It's just evolution. When I was saying about going back to Disney and things suddenly transform. Yeah.
I'm really glad you are sharing it with us, because that's absolutely amazing. Because like on a LinkedIn, when I look at it, I follow it really easily because it's all visual.
Yeah. Well, it's how I make notes. It's how, so I went to another conference, and that was my scribbles from that one. I was just sitting there doodling, because if I do that, I could create mind maps as well. So I sometimes capture the words. Yeah. Capture it in categories. So I could almost become the speaker. I could say, right, this is what they said, because for me, I see things in pictures. So I hear a speaker talking, then I see that as a picture. I don't know, most people might do that as well. But then I just put it down as a picture, and then I can remember it. When I note lots and lots of written notes, I never look back, and I never remember it. I can't see what the person was telling me. So I think I started off telling you about my boss. So he used to say, right, you need to do this, Anne. You need to do this. And what I would do was I would start writing like this. Yep. And every time I looked away and he didn't get eye contact, he would go, have you got that? Have you got that? Have you got that? So I learned that actually I had to maintain eye contact with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go, yes. And I would write, and I'd learn to write without looking at the paper.
Oh.
Because if I looked down, he would go, did you get that? Did you get that? And I would like, yeah, I got that. I got that. I was so scared of him. So that little bit came from that. I mean, when I do these now, yes, I do look down, but I think I also then learned that I had to listen to people and look at their body language and all that, because sometimes what people tell you, what comes out their mouth and what their body says can be two completely different things.
Yeah, you all know.
Yeah. So trusting that intuition. There was one of my clients I was working for, and I asked her, I said, oh, you know, who are you? We're doing a big vision tree. And she went, I'm kind of a creative entrepreneur. And I was like, what's all that about? You know, why are you not comfortable with that? And then she started telling me more about what she did. And I was like, oh, you're a creative storyteller. And she just went, oh, I am, aren't I? And then I knew that was the right word for her, because she stepped into that, whereas the other thing she was backing off from.
Yeah.
So to me, with if I do work with clients, and I have worked with clients that haven't been, you know, in the Northeast, as long as I've got a video, you know, a Skype or a Zoom, which we can do now, I like to see them. I like to see what their body language does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's maybe some of the dancer in me as well, because at line dancing, they would say to me, well, you know all the dancers. And I'll go, I don't actually. And they would say, you could teach the dance. And I'm like, I don't know the dance. The music comes on and I feel the dance. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I know that I face this way, that I move that way and stuff like that. You ask me to do the dance without the music on, or to write it down, tell you what the dance was. But as soon as that music comes on, I kind of step into the dance and I feel the dance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Because when you're talking about this, you better always wants to see the person.
Yes.
Person in life and meet in person. And because I've seen like a LinkedIn message today, someone saying it's like some people are like tend to use lots of text messages nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it easier, and then is it better to leave a voice message? And what's your idea around that?
I think that's possibly where some of this problem, to me, if you ask me what the biggest problem in the world is, I would say miscommunication. I believe most arguments, fights, wars, all of that is it's just down to miscommunication. So sending a text message, depending on the voice that you read that message in your head, can mean one thing on one day, potentially another thing. Because if you're in a really good mood and you read it and you're like, oh, da-da-da, and you think this person said that. If you're in a bad mood, you might read it as, you know, if that person's talking to you, you then get the tone of their voice. You can see their body language, that kind of thing. So you get more clues as to. So I do wonder whether some of these problems on social media is because people aren't communicating like this. They're not building relationships. They're not communicating one-to-one.
Yeah.
A lot of this just send, send, you know, and you're not really connecting with that real person on the other end of that message. So you don't know how that's going to be received, and how, if I said something to you now and I saw that you were really upset by it, I would think, what have I said? I've said something wrong to upset Suki. That might not have been my intention, but the way you heard that, so the way maybe I've communicated that, so then I could immediately go, I'm sorry, you know, what's wrong, you know, something doesn't seem right. Send a message, text message, and somebody could be sitting in their bedroom or whatever reading that and then be in tears, couldn't they?
Yeah, and then they just don't reply, and you wouldn't know how the other person feels.
No, you could think, oh, they're busy. And it works the other way as well. When people send a message and then they don't get the reply, and then they think, oh, I've upset somebody and all that kind of thing. And you build this kind of like story in your head, and it might be just too busy, so it works both ways. So I do like to be in the room with people. I like to connect with people on a proper one-to-one level, not just, like you say, text messages and emails and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Because, I remember, like, we always meet in person, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I dream sometimes. Sometimes I dream is involved.
Yeah. So I know you are a very, very busy person. And what motivates you to work so hard?
I would say I am driven by ideas. Yeah, in my head. I don't know what looks like, what like inside my head looks like.
like that.
Right, so I've got my ideas here. I got my husband, who's an engineer, to make this, to demonstrate all of this. Saw it on again back to the 80s. So Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. I just had this image of like, what is it that I do? And I think, well, I get the ideas out of people's heads, like into my head, and then once I get their ideas, they can verbally like tell me their ideas. Then I transform that into a picture, and then I represent it back to them. So you get inspired by ideas. It might sound crazy, but I just love that light bulb moment.
Yeah, I love your ideas, Hat. How many have you got?
I've got 2. There's one for me, one for the client. Yeah.
Yeah, because I got photo with your ideas, Hat. So I'm just like really pleased, and I even remember being nearly queued to get a photo.
I was in the other day with I was with Ashley because I'm mapping out some of her ideas at the moment, and then we got a photograph taken, and then some of the other students came in. They were like, "Can we have our photographs taken?" So they were borrowing these. Again, this is like the craziness, and having an engineer husband, I was like, John, I've got this idea. Can we get some calendars? Can you just like attach like bits and pieces to it and stuff like that? So he helped me make this, which is really quite funny. But I do like to have. Life can be too serious at times, can't it? I think we just got to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's like we can't really take it too serious. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
We don't. Yeah. I must admit, quite often I don't watch the news because I find it a bit upsetting. I find the news upset, and I suppose it's that tapping into the intuition. So I will see a little bit of the stuff that goes on in the world, but I don't get too involved in it because that would just break my heart. The people that I'm with, the people that I work with, that I connect with, let's try and uplift each other.
Exactly.
Let's just try and get the energy up and the positivity up, and then maybe that ripple will help the world. I don't like to get on that negative downward spiral of things. Yeah.
Totally get you. Because it's better just do what you want and
I mean, mind the planet and all that kind of thing, be mindful of stuff like that. But I also think if we can just have that little, it's that pay it forward thing, isn't it? If we can help another person and spread some joy and spread some cheer and all that kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, I have days when I'm in tears, so it's not always positive. But then I go to this thing called Insta Sisters, and I actually drew a graph for Insta Sisters, and I said it's a bit like a wave like this. And what happens is you might be doing this and somebody else might be doing that. And actually where we cross over, if they're on their up and you're on your down, you can raise each other up, can't you? So if you're having a bad day, I can help you. If I'm having a bad day, you can help me. So, I think that's how it should work, that we can all help pick each other up at different points. Yeah, because it's not, don't get me wrong, I've got my silly ideas at my metro domes. I'm not living in a world that's all like, woo, it's brilliant over here. There are things that get me down and difficulties. I try and remain positive if I can be.
Yeah, Yeah, it's all about your perspective, isn't it? Because we
Yeah.
all going to have our ups and downs, and the
Yeah.
down day, which from where you see that
Yeah.
thing, yeah. So
Yeah.
always
And
try
surrounding
to,
yourself by people that you know have kind of got your back, you know, and that you've got their back as well. People
yeah.
that you know that thing, know, like, and trust thing. But it's that it's finding. I think people say it's finding your tribe, isn't it?
Yes,
Finding
exactly.
people that resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. Okay, we've just gone like nearly 55 minutes. I can't
Yeah.
believe time just flies
No
by.
time.
Yeah. So this would be probably my very last question.
Okay.
And what's the big dream? What's the 2020s?
The big dream. Shall I put my hat on?
Go on.
I have some big dreams. Okay, so there's a book called Think and Grow Rich, which I know you've said Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor studied that all of his life. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And what happened was Napoleon Hill got given the challenge to he got access to all of the greatest minds, the thought leaders in the world at that time, which was kind of around about, I think, the turn of last century, wasn't it? You know, so it was like the Henry Fords, the Wright brothers. You know, when you look through that book, there's just some amazing people that lived in that time. My big vision is I want to out the minds of the people that are here now. So do almost like a visual Think and Grow Rich. You know?
That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
You know,
I'd
have
love
you
to
come
do that.
across with this Tools of Titans? It's
No,
Team
I haven't.
Ferry. So this is the one, and also we've got Tribe of Mentors as well. So basically, what he did is like he's interviewed.
I take my hat off.
I don't know how many.
I'm getting hot under it. The lights at the hat.
Who's doing a great stuff, and like 2, 3 pages, 4, 5 pages dedicated for each person, and bringing up
Okay.
the tactics and routines and habits of billionaires.
See, I would like to do that visually. The reason
Like
being,
a visual version of this,
because when I get books, I normally get to maybe the first, second, third chapter.
Yeah.
And I find them quite hard going. Because it's probably not my communication style. I love watching TED Talks. Oh, wonderful. So I love doing things like that. I love videos, things, but hearing. I like driving around in the car. I call it like a little bit like a university in the car because I like listening to podcasts. So I suppose again it's that listening or seeing, but reading books, I find them quite. Probably back to the Millie Molly Mandy. You know, I would read a story or Winnie the Pooh, but I would always go back to the map at the front to picture it in my world. So I think to create a book that's interactive, that's actually visually, that reveals itself, for me would be the best way for me to learn and communicate that message. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Think and Grow Rich. The visual rich.
Yes.
That would be like oh my God, I just can't wait
for this century as well. So it's thought leaders around here now, you know. So it's like their ideas, yeah. So it's capturing people's ideas and then communicating them visually,
yeah. Fantastic. Okay, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Suki.
Pleasure to have you here, and because it's our very first time going through this program in a live on Facebook, I don't know if we got any comments or not here.
Comments or questions?
It just doesn't come up because it's very everything's learning curve. It's all less.
It is. So, I'm just having a look to see whether I can see any questions. I think there is some.
I don't know who is watching, to be honest. I hope it's live.
I can see. I've just logged into Facebook, so I can see that there's some messages there. So all in Mulholland, and we're talking about there's 28 comments you're going to find afterwards. So yeah, but I understand this is a brand new program, isn't it, for you to use?
Like for me, yes. Yeah. I feel like it'll get better every single time.
Yeah. So hello everybody. I can see
hello.
Quite a lot of people logged in. So thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Hope that you've gone away with some tips and ideas. And just my message to you is go off and find your why. Definitely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. And thank you very much, whoever's tuning in. It sounds really rude, isn't it? Whoever, thank you very much for being here with us. And we'll answer all the comments and highs and buys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.